Come on in. Let's see how we're doing. We're all hooked in. So let's get ready to start this like we should every time. Let me tell you a quick story. In Nashville on Monday, when General Flynn spoke to this great big group, I was honored to be asked to introduce him. And I said to him, I'll do the pledge. And he said, good idea, do the pledge, and he'll talk about it. If you get a chance to see that speech by General Flynn, the first 90 seconds or so are about him talking about the Pledge of Allegiance. Pretty cool. Check it out. All right, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance right now. Let me see here. Get the old graphics set up. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance, everybody. I'm going to put a flag up for us on the screen if you'd like to stand with me and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, let's get that back. All right, everybody, good to be in here. Thank you for coming in. Let me get over here and make sure you see this. This is the topic for our talk today. Every Wednesday, I do an interview with a radio show in Champaign-Urbana, Illinois. Stevie J's show. He's on the ESPN affiliate out there. Great guy. I've been on for a year and a half, 2 years. And his brother, Johnny, who is a very successful businessman, joins us. And the three of us had this conversation. Today, our conversation is about 15 minutes. It was like three guys in the coffee shop talking about where we are, what's happening. And Stevie J is like me. We do a lot of this outward-facing stuff. He's a great radio host. Johnny's a businessman and an inventor. He's got patents, and he's almost always coming from his Bible study. He's kind of the elder brother in this group, and I don't even know these two brothers. I'm not sure who's older, but he's kind of that character. He's just got that kind of quality. And Stevie J and I are figuring things out and trying to push it and pulling. And what we started talking about was, one of the biggest issues in the country is this immigration onslaught coming from our southern border. We got terrorist suspects coming through. We've got unaccompanied minors, children being trafficked. We got chaos. And it's the largest influx of illegals or immigrants, I guess they call them asylum seekers, that we've had. The numbers are the highest they've been in years. And yet there's no coverage. Not a bit. And what I said was, that's because the news coverage and the media in general, they have to fear-monger. They have to continue right now. The media is hooked on fear, promoting fear. And if there's not something to be afraid of, they will engineer it. They will make it happen. So right now you're being told that you're racist in America. Everybody's racist. Everybody's racist. Everything is racism. Everything is racism. It's all hate. And yet most Americans, this is where we agreed, Stevie J and Johnny and I, they know in their gut that what they're being told isn't quite what's true. In fact, there's plenty of bigotry. Myself, I would say that Joe Biden is the greatest bigot we've ever had in the presidency, one of the most adept bigots I've ever seen in a leadership position. He's able to divide people by characteristics that he dislikes and make you feel terrible. That's very bad for a president. But anyway, as we're talking, my point here is there's been the media, the narrative machine, as I often talk about, is obsessed with race right now. On CNN, Van Jones is saying if there's not a conviction that he likes, I think it was murder conviction in the Minneapolis case, the George Floyd Officer Chauvin case, Van Jones said if it's not a conviction the way he likes, then it's an invitation for all cops, open season on black men. That's what he said. In other words, he's stoking race. He's inflaming racism and inviting riots, which we're seeing now in Minnesota already. And people aren't talking about the facts. The woman that unfortunately shot that guy with one bullet, she thought it was her taser, I guess, and she shot him. A woman, 26-year veteran, well-respected woman. That's one of the hyphenated groups we're supposed to be worried about. Woman who's a police officer. In the old days, you didn't let women become police officers. Thankfully, we're more enlightened, and we let women be police officers. Now we have women in combat, but there it is. And with her on that stop of this young African-American man that lost his life for resisting arrest, among other things, and running and acting inappropriately. But be that as it may, it was not a good thing. I don't defend a shooter who pulls the wrong gun. That's her job. But with her were two more officers. I think one was African-American, the other was Hispanic. Chauvin, in the Minneapolis case of George Floyd, there was four other cops. There was Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans. My point here is it's not racism what's happening. There's problems. But also in Colorado, the shooter from 2 weeks ago, he was a dark-skinned American. I think he was American. It might have been, I think it was some sort of Middle Eastern. The guy who killed an officer up on Capitol Hill, they had a wake yesterday. Joe Biden went dramatically and all. The guy that killed the officer was a white guy. Not that it matters. But the guy that got killed him, a man of color. So we're in a position here where we're the fear-mongering, the fear. Here's what the narrative machine is hooked on: stoking fear, whether it's COVID, fear, fear, or race. And what I want to tell you is in this country, we have better than ever. I mean, I didn't live every time, but it feels like it's better than ever. Every day, we have people who are loving their neighbor as themselves. That's the teaching, right? The Christian teaching, love your neighbor as yourself, which means you have to start by loving yourself, which means you have to start by being self-interested to succeed. And you have to love your neighbor as yourself. You have to love yourself. And if you're a Christian believer, yourself extends to your wife, in my case, and your family. That becomes yourself. So you have to prioritize your love and not disorder it. If you wake up in the morning and spend all your time loving your dog or loving your a far off vision of international justice, it tends to diminish the humans around you. That's the priority. And this is a problem, right? But right now, more and more in America, people are loving their neighbors, loving their fellow Americans, loving their fellow citizens because we know it's right. We don't hate people from Mexico or Honduras or Guatemala. We just think we have to take care of our own people right now. And our people, we don't love the people around us based on whether they're hyphenated. We don't look in our neighborhood to find out if there's a hyphenated American we can love. We love the neighbor next to us, or two doors down, or three doors down. It's not easy, by the way. And we're building that community, and it's happening in America. And so the thing I want to tell you is you just have to, more than ever, you have to recognize the narrative machine, how they're fear-mongering. You know, the word monger means sell. And the phrase you'll sometimes hear back, I think in Shakespeare used it a number of times, fishmonger. It just means a fish salesman. But the fear-monger, or the way it was used more popular in the last, say, 30 or 40 years, warmonger. The term became less about sales, monger. It became more about kind of trying to give people, put a fast one over on people. Warmonger was somebody who was trying to make you think something was, war was necessary and was a more pushy. Well, fear-mongering is what we're living with right now. And it's led by big media and big tech, but it's also led by government. Big government especially in the last 2 months. And the notion that we're having rioting in our streets because of racism is absolutely preposterous. We have rioting in our streets in America because of the big media and big tech and big government, and especially Joe Biden, not being willing to stop this madness. He can't stop it now. He's incapable. He's a product of the fear-mongering entities. So we just have to identify it. We have to be clear about it. We have to say what it is, and we have to be willing to make totally clear the cost of what's happening. When you speak lies, it has an impact, and our job is to speak truth. Our job is to speak truth and stand up. So I just wanted to come in and talk to you about that. It was a great conversation with Stevie J and with Johnny. And as we talked about it, I just thought to myself, this is really a great conversation. I wish we were having this so the whole world could hear it, because nobody's angry about it. I'm not angry. Sometimes I get angry, but I'm not angry. I'm mostly describing what we're going through and saying we've never had opponents. We've never had enemies of men and women of goodwill that have had the power that big tech and big media and big government have. It's daunting. It's daunting. I mean, I suppose that at the Revolutionary War, the American Continental Army was looking up and going, "Whoa! There's never been an army as big as as strong and as powerful and as well equipped as the British." And then they brought in the hired guns, the Hessians. They thought, oh my gosh, those guys are the toughest fighters around. It's like taking on everybody. So I guess the odds, there's no reason to think the odds are longer now, but the power of the tools and what they're doing to people is extraordinary. So it's really pretty frightening, But all right, listen, say your Pledge of Allegiance, pass it on, and we'll be back later. I appreciate all of you, and keep your hope, keep strong, and love your neighbor as yourself. But start with yourself. Start with yourself in America. Talk to you later.